Morning class, welcome to your daily current affairs on paper Hindu. We will see today's current affairs. So yeah, government can precipitate the fall of an elected government. So now, what is the issue here? Yesterday when I was explaining about Telangana issue 2, so I have told that the growing tussle between the executive who is representing the center, that is governor, as well as with the chief minister, there is a growing tussle, right? With respect to that, Mr. Chandrachud, D.Y. Chandrachud, our current Chief Justice of India, has mentioned that the governor cannot precipitate the fall of an elected government. So, if a government is being elected, then the governor should not be a label about it. So, it should not accustom, that means it should not be a struggle for these people, for the executive. Supreme Court on Wednesday, the governor seriously undermined democracy if they use the constitutional office to call it as a trust vote, citing dissension within a ruling political party and precipitate the fall of legitimately established functioning government. That means, if a particular government is functionally established, if the governor is not giving his support or her support properly, then that would undermine the democracy. So, that would seriously threaten the ideals of democracy. That is what he has mentioned. So, governor must be aware of the fact that he is very calling for a trust vote may precipitate the loss of majority of the government. So, he should be acting in accordance with a particular legislature or executive body of the state, and he should not be going beyond it. That is what Mr. Chandrachud has mentioned. Next. Exports fall 8.8%, trade deficit shrinks over. So, exports fall 8.8%. So, contracted by 8.8%. What are Indian exports? Whereas, the trade deficit also shrink towards 7%. So, what is this trade deficit? The imports and exports. So, difference between your imports and exports gives you your trade deficit. So, currently that trade deficit has shrunk to 7%, whereas the exports fall for 8.8%, right? Why? Because of the global outcast. So, globally there is ongoing recession, the global market has slowed down. Because of that only this impact was there. So, tentative global demand pulled India's good exports down 8.8% in February to 33.9 billion, while imports fell around 8.2%. So, you need to understand that our imports are also decreasing, at the same time exports are also decreasing. That is why the trade deficit has been shrunk. Fine. So, that is what mentioned by Ministry of Mokhi. So, Commerce Ministry has mentioned it. This is the third time in 5 months that the merchandise exports have contracted. Continuous contraction for the span of 3 months. That is the issue now. So, this is showcasing the existing recession in the Western or in the global market scenario. You need to understand that. Fine. Other numbers are not required, just for you to understand. That's all. Next. So, skipping up the local news. So, for the local news, APPSC socio-economic survey has been released. That is important, and today budget will be released. That is also important. Those who are preparing for APPSC, please go through APPSC's economy part today, which deals with your socio-economic survey and budget right now. Okay, follow the current affairs for that. Not this current affairs, but this PDF. You can just follow. So, you can understand what are the important as part of your state-wise too. Fine. So, foreign lawyers firms can operate in India, says BCI. So, who is BCI? The Bar Council of India. Currently, this is for the first time where the Bar Council of India is encouraging the foreign lawyers to practice in India. So, now the standard will also be increased. Our standard of giving judiciary or this judgments will increase, at the same time equating it with the global scenario. So, global international justice will also be equated when the international or the foreign lawyers firms can also operate in India. So, currently the Bar Council has opened up the law practice in India for foreign lawyers and law firms. So, they can come here, establish, and they can continue with their work. Important because this is for the first time where judiciary has opened up its markets to international scenario. Okay. So in that way you can consider. So definitely important for your current affair part. Fine. So yes, the rules allowing the registration of foreign lawyers and firms with BCI will make India a hub of international commercial arbitration and address concerns about FDI flow. So if these foreign lawyers are coming into our country and they are practicing here, what would their work be? First, arbitration. Just a moment. So commercial arbitration addresses concerns related to FDI, so foreign direct investments, whatever it is. If there are any issues related to this foreign market scenario, these law firms can be dealing with it. Okay, fine. So that is its area of jurisdiction. Okay, fine. Just go through the article. Rest all will be fine. Next, another important one. So a different perspective which we haven't seen so far. Important for your society and also administration wise. Okay, so governance important, administration wise important, political scenario also important. Anywhere you can add. So what is this article about? 436 CAPF personnel end life in 3 years, task force formed. So around 436 the Central Armed Police Force have committed suicide within the span of 3 years. This showcases the impact of mental ill health, the growing mental ill health in the society. So this is something which is a secret disease. You can consider this as a secret phenomena or underlying phenomena which most of the people will not be recognizing it. So even in the police force, this kind of mental issues are prevailing. That you need to understand. Different perspective, right? That is why it is important. So the Union Home Ministry informed Rajya Sabha on Wednesday that it has set up a task force. So it has set up a task force to suggest remedial measures for the prevention of suicides and fratricides in CAPF. So they are going to establish this particular task force with which they will find out, they will suggest these remedial measures to avoid this particular suicidal tendencies in police force, Central Armed Police Force. So there are also people, they also have their own issues that you need to understand. Fine. Next. NGOs received over 22,000 crore foreign funds in 2021-22, says Ministry of Home Affairs. So we have this FCRA Act, which is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. So it has fixed certain limitations on NGOs receiving funds from foreign institutions. So now even laid this particular constraints, still for a 2-year high, so compared to the previous 2 years, this is the highest amount received, which is 22,000 crore has been created to NGOs in India. Okay. So your work here is find out what are the regulations of FCRA Act, right? Important on NGOs. Fine. Next. House panel questions huge cut in outlay for Manregas. So since budget time I was clearly mentioning that this was very first time, not very first time, but yeah, the government is focusing on capital expenditure, capital investment rather than the welfare state of scenario. It is evident in Manrega fund because it has seen a huge policy cut. Like in the last year, the allocated fund was 70,000 crore, whereas this year it is 60,000 crore. Almost 23,000 crore was the cut. See, 29,400 crore was reduced in allocation fund of Manrega. So that is about this article. So taking note of the drastic cut. So what is about this article? The Parliamentary Standing Committee. So about this article, I have told you that policy cut has been witnessed in Manregas. So this article says that the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Rural Development has asked in the Parliament to explain why this policy cut has been witnessed in Manregas. So what is your ideology behind this policy cut? Earlier also, almost in, let me go to the figure. So if you can see, the government had to revise the budget from 61,500. So earlier it was 61,500 allocated for 2020-21. Later that was revised to 1,11,500 because of the ongoing pandemic situation, the loss of jobs. So that was the case, and later on it was hiked from 70,000 crore to 99,000. So these hikes were there. So despite knowing the fact that every year there is a growing demand for Manregas, why should they witness this policy cut? That is a question. So Parliamentary Standing Committee has questioned the rationale between the policy cut witnessed in Manregas. Right? Next. Milk meat see rise in production, says Ministry of Animal Husbandry. So meat eating people increased, milk consumption has increased. You should understand that perspective too. So the basic animal husbandry statistics. So this is the report, statistics, basic animal husbandry statistics prepared by Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry and Dairying after an integrated sample survey has shown an increase in the milk, eggs and your meat production in the country. So going to the figures. The report said that the total milk production in the country has increased by 5.29%. No need to go into the figures, understand the percentage rise. So 5.29% has seen the rise when compared to the previous year, and the total egg production in the country has also seen 6.19% increase compared to the previous year. In the same lines, meat also increased, has showcased the increase of 5.62% of meat production in the country. Right. Next. Eurasian otter raises the hope for J&K stream. Eurasian otter is a species. So this particular species is a flagship species, very important for your environment part. So this has increased the hope for Jammu and Kashmir stream. So there is one stream which is called Neeru, which is a tributary of your Chenab river. So now they understood that this particular tributary is undisturbed by anthropogenic factors. That means human ways of pollution is being still not witnessed by this particular Neeru river. How they have identified? Because of this particular flagship species existing in this particular Neeru region of Jammu and Kashmir. So this is considered as per the red list. It is a near threatened. So yeah, it is near threatened species as part of your IUCN species. But existence of this particular species is that if this species is existing in a particular river tributary, then that particular river tributary is pure. Not river tributary, any other water sources. If at all it is pure, only that particular scenario Neeru will be, so this particular otter will be existing. So it is clearly mentioned here that, so this Eurasian otter has been classified as near threatened in as part of your IUCN red list and is regarded as a flagship species and indicator of high quality, see, indicator of high quality aquatic habitats. Its presence is encouraging for the health of Neeru stream. So that showcases that the Neeru stream is still under the protected ambient and care can be further taken. So that is about this article. So far you need to know that Neeru, tributary of Chenab river, and Eurasian otter has seen its existence in Neeru, which is a flagship species and indicator of high quality of purity of water existing in Neeru. Fine. This is done, right? Trade policy. Trade policy may be revised after 8 years from April 1st. So in 2015 we had our trade policy. Since then, that means it is not for the first time. The latest one that is available right now is our foreign trade policy of 2015. That is what existing. And now since it's been around 8 years, right, from 2015 it is around 8 years, they haven't gone for new foreign trade policy. Who? The Ministry of, what is this? Yeah, the Commerce Ministry, MoKI. Commerce Secretary says FTP focuses on realizing 1 trillion of goods, services, exports. The ministry, in concert with other ministries, reviewed the list of essential, non-essential items to cut import taxes, to help cut imports. So now they are trying to revise on the imports because of the existing resources, existing technology. after 8 years, what is our actual necessity for essential or non-essential goods that has to be imported, at the same time exported. So we need a revision of existing foreign trade policy, right? So now currently they are trying to have this revision. So earlier it was planned for, it was earlier planned on 2021 for revision, but it did not happen because of pandemic scenario. So our target is 1 trillion merchandise. So products exports. Next, states identified for PM textile to be named soon. So Mitra scheme, you would have seen in your budget. So the Ministry of Textiles have shortly named the states identified for the implementation of PM Mitra. So what is this Mitra? Mega Integrated Textile Region and Apparel Parks scheme. So here the state products, so one nation, one product, in the same way, the state products will be exhibited. So the parks would implement or would improve the competitiveness of the textile value chain. Just a moment. Yes. Textile value chain, boost 5F, important for your answer writing. So to boost 5Fs, what are these 5Fs? Farm, fiber, factory, fashion, foreign vision of PM. So this is what our target through Mitra scheme. So the target vision is for 2030. We need to know all the targets. So the vision for 2030 is to achieve an economical value of $250 billion. $250 billion in production and 100 billion in exports of textiles. So overall 200 billion should be our production and 100 billion should be our exports of textiles, apparel, whatever is involving into textile industry. So Mitra scheme, our target by 2030, that is important as part of, and this 5F, that is important. Okay. Next, governance, important. Social justice, important. On reservation for women in politics, we already know that in the panchayat level through 73 and 74 articles, we have 74 and 73 amendments, we have mandated that. So Constitution of India, it has mandated that 1/3 of representations in this local self-government sector will be from women. And currently, now the issue is that introduce this particular bill in Parliament too. That means in Parliament also we need 1/3 reservation for women. So that is what they have mentioned. So Bharat Rashtriya Samiti, BRS leader K. Kavita, so Telangana, she launched a 6-hour hunger strike on March 10 seeking for the early passage of long pending women reservations bill. So far this just is enough. Rest of you want, you can just go through the article. After the historic enactment of this, as I already told you, currently 1/3 of the reservation for women in elections are given or guaranteed through 73rd and 74th amendment, which in Panchayat region, so in Panchayat Raj institutions, and now they are asking to implement the same in Parliament, so in Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. So only 14% of the members currently, so current scenario is in Indian Parliament the representation of women is only 14%. So yeah, are women, so the highest so far, and according to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, India has a fewer percentage of women in lower house than its neighboring countries. So compared to the neighboring countries, which are your Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, India have very less representation of women in Parliament. So for that to improve, they are focusing or they are asking for the passage of this women reservation bill in Parliament. Okay. So yeah, that's it for today's session. So far, just go through the article, that will be sufficing for you. Yes. So that's it for today. Thank you for the session. Good day.